You know what to do. It's time to dance.
The Lillian McDermott Show.
We love, we fear, bridges we burn, we make mistakes, then we live and learn. When life gets tough, and it seems like your best ain't good enough. If you're in need of hope, you know where I'll be right here. Right here, and when you need a friend, you can count on me. I'll be right here, waiting for you.
This is the place you can always turn to when you need a friend. The Lillian McDermott Show. To reach out to Lillian, visit her on the web at whenyouneedafriend.com. Now let's all learn together. Here's Lillian McDermott.
Hello, my listening friend. It's so nice we can meet each other on the air on this beautiful best day ever. And for those of you who are tuning into the classroom for the first time, please know I've been waiting for you. This is a safe place where you can go to when you need a friend. It is my commitment to provide natural ways to heal, and it is my mission to make awareness, responsibility, and truth a part of our everyday life. And I hope you, my listening, as well as my viewing friend, will feel empowered to embrace a new truth and live the life of your dreams. Now, as you know, today I will be speaking to you. This is when you guys get free life coaching sessions, right? When I get to be on, and maybe there's not another guest, but I believe every single course that we do is a free life coaching session because we learn about taking 100% responsibility for our life. 100%, you heard it completely correct. 100% of everything that is happening in your life, you, we created. Everything that is happening in my life, I created. So I'm going to speak about me because I've learned to take 100% responsibility for my life. And I am also trained to spot that in others as a coach. So one of the reasons I wanted to do this class today is because a recent conversation with someone I know led me to say, you know what? If this is happening to you, if this has happened to me, then perhaps maybe we should address it and maybe we can talk about it. So if you have any questions during the class today, you can type in a Q, write your question down, and hopefully before the end of class, I'll be able to answer your question. But this is what happened. So what happened was, and this has happened a couple of times where I have sensed it, but this time I had the courage to say something. So I was talking to someone and everything was not working right. I mean, if you can talk about work wasn't good, relationships weren't good, family wasn't good. I mean, I'm just now embellishing. There were a lot of things. Oh, and they weren't feeling themselves. Can you relate to moments like this? I certainly can. And the reason I was able to identify it and spot it is because I am spotting it in myself. And honestly, we see in others who we are, and we recognize it in others what we need to recognize in ourselves. So this is the whole part of the process. When I felt empowered enough to say, you want to hear the problem? Are you open to hear the problem? And they said, yes, I am open to hear the problem. And I said, it looks like you're lacking in gratitude. That stunned them a little bit. But then I said, this is a symptom of the ego. So we started talking about the ego. So how long has it been since we've talked about the ego? I don't know if you remember, I don't know if you are seeing me okay on Facebook, but it looks like there is some lagging on Facebook, and I need to maybe close some things. Robert, can you take a look at that? I'm not sure if this is on. There seems to be a delay. Robert, are you there? Okay, I don't know. So whatever it is. I got to get into my essence. In order for me to do this, I must be in my essence. And the way I recognize the ego in somebody else is because I recognize it in myself, or I see it in them of what I should recognize in myself. So I want to talk about the ego today, because I don't know if it's been a while, because in our conversation, it was a great conversation, by the way. We created some tools that could help that person shift from or recognize when they're in their ego. But what is the ego? So I just thought, if you haven't been in the ego, or if you haven't studied what the ego is all about, okay, so it says Facebook is not flowing smoothly. Okay, so I just want to make sure that we have full bandwidth. So if it's Facebook for me, is Facebook for you going okay? Maybe it's just our connection on our end, but hopefully it'll record properly. If not, we'll put in this recording instead. Okay, so when you're in your ego, you want to look good. You'll say things like, yeah, sure, I'll show up. And you have no intention of showing up. Or I'll be there on time. You have no intention of being there on time. You just want to look good for the person who's in front of you, asking you for a favor, for doing it, but you have no intention, but you want to look good. Second, you're comfortable. When you are comfortable, like, for example, I just don't want to go to the party because I'm going to have to take a shower and get ready. And I really just want to be in my pajamas, eat my chocolate, cry all night, and watch a really sad Netflix movie. So that's kind of like in your comfort zone, because you don't want to get out of what feels a little uncomfortable at the moment. But here's a tip. There are people who feel comfortable getting beaten every night. There are people that feel comfortable drinking a pint of liquor or a case of beer every night, because they don't want to go outside their comfort zone, stretch a little bit, and learn tools for better temperament, or get away and escape because they're afraid. It's fear. All these symptoms are based from fear. Then there is being right. Have you ever spoken to someone who's a right fighter? I grew up in a family full of right fighters, so they have to be right. So even if they say something and they were wrong, they twist it around and somehow we understood incorrectly, they were right, and that's fine too. They have to be right. They got to be the smartest. They got to be the ones. And some people must feel that way. They have to be right. And not only must they feel right, but they also have to be the smartest, the wisest, the funniest. So that falls along with that. And it really is about a low self-esteem. It's about fear, once again, being found out a fraud. Okay, then the last thing that I'm going to talk about is being in control. Now, this person doesn't do it right. This person doesn't do it right. This person doesn't do it right. I got to do it because nobody does it right. I am the only one that does it. And if you don't do your job, I'm going to do it for you because I'm the only one that knows how to do something. And that is being in control. All of these are signs of the ego. These are signs of the ego. And how do you know that you're in your ego? You feel yucky. Like when that person said, I don't feel myself. There's something wrong. I am not feeling well. Could be that you're feeling sick, but we're not talking about that. It was just an icky feeling. So the song of the ego is, I don't get no satisfaction. That is the song of the ego. Nothing is ever good enough for the ego. Now, keep in mind, there's excellence. I'm not talking about perfection. You could have a level of excellence, and you want people to be at a level of excellence themselves. I'm not talking about that, but that perfection infection where, you've got to be in control and nothing works well unless you've got your hand in it. And I'm talking about controlling people's lives, controlling the way they're thinking, controlling, where they go, where they eat, whatever. So all these are the symptoms of being in your ego, but every single one of them will make you feel uncomfortable, like nothing is right, everything is wrong. And there is tremendous lack of gratitude because you're only looking at what is wrong in your life. The ego, not too long ago, it was a couple of years ago, I had a Freudian slip and I said, good versus ego. So you can insert evil too. When you're in your ego, you just don't care what anybody else is feeling. Even if you're trying to protect somebody for a good reason, that is, there may be, when you're in your essence and you're really truly trying to protect somebody because you know that they're not doing well or sick and you're trying to help them, sometimes it's best to ask how you can help them because they may look at you as trying to be controlling. Again, it's all in how you present yourself. So if you're just taking charge, taking over, and you are running over through everybody, then chances are you're in your ego. The ego also believes that I am the only one that's going through this. I am separate from everybody else. That's the ego. So anytime, do you recognize it? Are you relating to some of these things? I'm just trying to get you to understand that the ego, we all have ego. And I think that the ego has been misunderstood or compared to having self-esteem. That is not what I'm talking about. When you're bringing your ego, I'm talking about the egoic part of you, which is the shadow side of you, the one that you don't want anybody to see. Or the one that you want people to believe is brave, but in the meantime, you're going to be in control. You're going to stay home, stay comfortable, look good. You just don't want to be found out to be a fraud. So that's what the ego that I'm talking about, not self-esteem ego, because somebody will say, you need to have some ego or some pride or whatever. I am talking about good versus ego. This is the shadow side of you. This is the you that you don't want anyone to see. So you mask it with looking good, in control, being right, and comfortable. Does that make sense? Okay. So let me know if you are watching, if you have any questions, type in a Q and let me know how, if you can relate. So YouTube is doing great. So if you're trying to watch on Facebook, if you're watching on Telegram is good too, or you can watch on whenyouneedafriend.com. Okay. So moving forward, what does the ego do? It's great at rationalization, repression, suppression, denial, projection. You think I'm doing this. No, I don't think that. You're accusing me of thinking that. I don't think that. So this is a projection. You see in the other person who you are. Displacement, like, oh man, you just put me all out here and you're just like, it's going to go everywhere else but me. It's going to be displaced. The blame is going to be displaced. Nothing is going to fall on me. It's going to be replaced with you. It's going to look at, like I said, denial, reaction. The ego is very reactive. So if you find yourself reacting before you even know the whole thing or how you might feel after you hear the whole thing, the whole request or the whole situation, if you're reactive, chances are you're in your ego. So what does the ego, the opposite of the ego? The ego, the opposite of the ego is your essence. And so what does the essence look like? Essence is the opposite of evil, the opposite of unkind, the opposite of fear, which is love. Because fear is at the root of ego. Love is at the root of essence. So, like I said, the song of the ego is I don't get no satisfaction, and it wants to stay miserable. The ego wants to stay miserable. It's going to look at everything that is going wrong, and they don't even know it, because the ego is, when you were a kid, the ego and some of the habits of the ego was there to protect you. It was there to protect you, but now it's holding you back. So the fear of a dog because you got bitten supported you as a child, or sticking your finger in a light socket protected you. The fear of that protected you to keep you from electrocution. But that fear continues to linger on, and if it gets out of control, then it is the ego. It keeps you from doing the goodness that you want to do. So have you ever had these days that you just could not shake it off? You wake up in the morning and you wake up on the wrong side of the bed. I'm doing little air quotes there. You know, nothing goes well because everything is going wrong. Well, where is it that you're focusing on? You're focusing on everything that's going wrong. And what happens with what you focus on? What you focus on will increase, and what you're not focused on will decrease. Now, I didn't say what you want. I said what you're focusing on. So if you want joy and you want to shift and you want to change things from your ego, then what you need to do is you need to focus on what you want. You want to be loved. You want to be kind. You want to be accepting, embracing. You want to be someone that has compassion and that sees others for who they are, not for who you want them to be, and listens and understands that. And we all think we're that. I know that there's a side of both of us. There's two sides of it. It's like the story. There is a legend, a Cherokee legend, and it goes like this. The grandson went to a Cherokee elder. The grandson's Cherokee. He was a Cherokee elder, so the grandson is coming to the elder. And the Cherokee elder is telling a story about how there's war. There's war in everybody's life. There's a battle going on. And it's a good, like a good and evil, like a wolf that is in the evil, and it's in the ego, and it's unkind, and it's thoughtless, and it's impatient, and it's reactive, and it's just angry all the time, and is just looking at the worst case scenario. It's self-pity. Self-pity. That was one of the wolves. And it's the battle of the good versus the ego versus the essence. And the other wolf is loving and kind and generous and inclusive. It is just all about goodness. I can go on. You know what good is. I can go on. And so the grandfather was telling the grandson that within us lies these two battles, and they're like two wolves fighting with one another. And the grandson said, "The grandpa, who will win?" And the grandfather said, "The one you feed, the one you focus on." Think about it. If you focus on it, you will get more of it. So then the conversation led to, well, I don't know how to get out of it. When I'm in this mode, I don't know how to get out of it. And once again, I asked, are you ready? Do you want to learn how to get out of it? Because we can all recognize when we're about to sneeze, right? You know, your eyes get watery. You kind of like want to breathe in, and you're like, you know, the sneeze is about to come. It's the same thing with our ego. We recognize the signs. I've already explained over and over the sign of the ego. But how do you get out of it? And that's when we get to shift. That's when we get to shift. And by the way, we're going to talk a lot more about this in the I Am the Solution workshop. It's a virtual workshop. It's from April 21st to April 23rd. Space is limited. It's virtual, so you can join us from anywhere around the world. We're going to talk about these things, these tools, and how we can shift from where we don't want to be and focus to what we want and what we want to be. So if you're interested in learning more, you can go to whenyouneedafriend.com and click. Actually, the link should be below this description today, and will be in every description, because this is such an important information. We do a lot of continuing education for our careers, for, trades, whatever it is, we do continuing education. We don't even think about it. But when it comes to the soul and who we are, which is part of what we take everywhere we go, we don't even think about it. So I am the solution. The I am, which is our essence, it's our higher power. It's the God in us. The I am is the God in us. And that's when we get to shift. Like we know, okay, I don't like how I'm feeling. I want more of this essence inside of me, this higher power inside of me. And whatever you want to call your higher power, I am not here to change you. I'm here to live by example. And my higher power is God and Jesus. That is my highest power, and the Holy Spirit. And so with that in mind, if I want to be in that essence, if I want to be in the I am and sitting next to the I am, or being in the I am, I need to become what I want. So we need to become aware. Awareness is key. And so we get to ask before our feet hit the ground, instead of saying, oh, this is going to be a terrible day. I'm going to have to meet with this person or have this uncomfortable conversation. I don't want to meet sit with my ex spouse or with a friend that we are not speaking to one another. All of that comes to us when we first wake up in the morning because we're not guarded. And some of the things that guard us are busyness, watching television, numbing ourselves with drugs and alcohol, doing all those things that numbs us from really dealing with some of the traumas and pains in our life. And I mean, I cannot see if you're watching on Facebook. So I would like to encourage you to join us on YouTube, or later on, you can watch later on. So now, instead of just allowing those thoughts to just come at you at the most vulnerable, when you're about to go to bed and when you wake up in the morning, they're just waiting there for you. The ego's going, okay, wake up, wake up, wake up, wake up, wake up. Okay, now everything's going to go bad today. Everything's going to go bad. You're not going to like your boss today. Oh, the work is horrible. All of that is waiting for you. Come on, wake up, wake up. It's time. In reality, that's when you get to be in your essence and say, okay, today's going to be a great day. I'm going to be in the moment. I'm going to ask for protection from the evil one. So I ask for protection from the evil one. And I ask for discernment. Allow me to discern the things that are going to be coming to me. And always let me discern and see the goodness in it. I'm not talking about Pollyanna. I'm talking about discerning the goodness in things. And it's time to shift. I'm making the choice to shift. We do a lot of that talking about shifting. We become masters at shifting, but sometimes we forget to shift because we're all human. And the more you do it, the more you can get to that place where you feel, oh, it is time to shift. I know what it feels like. I'm not feeling good, so I am going to shift. Yes. How do you shift? And that's what the person said. I don't know how. Of course you do. But when you're in your ego, you don't know how. Because the ego doesn't want you to move from looking good, being comfortable, being right, and in control. So how do you shift? So before we went into how do we shift, we said awareness. So lack of gratitude. So name your ego. Give your ego a name. And I asked for permission, and they said I could share their ego's name. and their ego's name is Cleo, as in Cleopatra, the queen. And so we shorten it to Cleo. And so now if I want them to know if they're in their ego, I just ask, hey, have you seen Cleo lately? Have you had a conversation with Cleo lately? There, awareness. Give somebody the opportunity to say, you know what, when you find me in this crap feeling like everything is wrong, call me out, call me Cleo, or ask me if I've seen Cleo. Boom, there's an awareness right there. Cleo showed up. Where's Cleo? Did we invite Cleo to the party? No, we did not. No, we did not. So I said, you also need to find a name for your essence. I've not gotten the name for the essence yet, but I am hoping that it will come soon. I'm hoping that we will. So, oh gosh, let me see. I have no idea. I got an anti-spam thing on my Facebook page. I have no idea what that is. So I'm hoping that we're still live. Okay, so with that in mind, the birth of Cleo happened. And I think that we all can name our ego. We know who they are. We know what it looks like. We know why it is the way it is. And we just need to become aware and embrace the person that you want to be, as opposed to the person you're feeling like now. So I'm still waiting for the essence. We don't know what the essence name is going to be for this person, but you can create your essence. I know that I did my work on the ego, and I know that my husband's going to use this from this point on and ask me if Odie showed up, because there is a story in the Bible of a woman who asks their daughter to dance for the king. And the king is so pleased with her dancing that whatever they want, they will get. So the mother asks the daughter to ask for the head of John the Baptist. I'm telling you, the ego could take us there, to that place where you want the head of someone in a platter. Can anybody relate? I mean, am I the only one that can relate to this story? Not that I've ever wished anybody dead. Yeah, I did. There was a time that I wanted my ex-husband to be, it was easier to be a widow. That's what I thought. But anyway, I asked for forgiveness and I repented from that portion of my ego. But I'm just transparent with you. I want you to know that I've gone through every single emotion. I continue to go through that, but I recognize these signs and I talk myself out of the cliff. And so my ego is Herodias. That's the name of the mother, Herodias. So Herodias is not like a common name. So I shortened the name Herodias to Odie. Odie. So Odie is the name of my ego. So if I show up and I am overbearing and not being kind and judgmental or whatever it is, well, did Odie show up? Possibly, it could be. But what is my essence name? My essence is love. Love, harmony. It is all the goodness that I want to be in the world. It's the change. Like I have this bracelet, and my bracelet says, be the change. I always wear it. Doesn't matter how formal my dress is. It's always on. Be the change that you want to see in the world. It is a constant reminder for me, that this is what I want in my life. So essence is love. It is what I want to feel. And it takes me away from my ego. So before I continue on recognizing the ego and moving on to your essence, I want you to know that we're going to have a free webinar, yes, you heard it correctly, a free webinar. We just announced it yesterday for the first time. And this free webinar is 30 minutes. It starts on March 28th at 7 p.m. Eastern time. So all of you that are listening worldwide, everybody is welcome to join us, but you need to click the link. It'll take you to my contact page, and you can say, I want to be a part of the free webinar. Once you reserve your seat by March 26th, which is a Sunday, reserve your seat, and then we'll send you a link to that. You can text me at 407-373-5959. You can also email me directly to lily@whenyounneedafriend.com. But you can also click the link and it'll take you to my contact. On there, just say, free webinar. I would like to be in the front row seat. You need to give us your email address so that we can send it to you. And so whether you're texting, reaching out with the link through our contact page, or email me at lily@whenyounneedafriend.com. What is the email you want to be there? So it is Tuesday, March 28th at 7 p.m. Eastern time. We'll go up to 9 o'clock. So that means if we're done in an hour and a half, we're done in an hour and a half. I'm going to give you a 30-minute presentation on the mindset and how the mind works. And we're going to go into detail and how you can be the solution. Now, if you decide that you like that feel of being in a small group and sharing with one another and developing community, then you might even consider joining us on April 21st, 22nd, 23rd, when we're going to have the I Am the Solution virtual weekend workshop. And we're going to learn a lot on that weekend workshop, more than a half an hour. But it'll be fun to come together. And you get to ask some questions too. We'll have a free Q&A, a free presentation, free webinar. So the link is below the description for not only the free webinar, but also the I Am the Solution workshop. And then share it with your friends, because friends that grow together stay together. So I hope all of you show up. Even if you've gone through the workshop, and if you've been a listener and you want to be a part of it, it's a free coaching session. Basically, there's so many people who say, oh, I can afford you. Well, I give a lot of stuff for free, which is the class. The classroom is everything there. All the content is free. But if I do something outside of those hours, then I need to, I don't know if you want to come work for me for free, but I would certainly hire you if you wanted to work for me for free. But so those are things that normally there is a fee associated with them. Anything that requires outside of this time. And believe me, this time comes with prep work. So for every hour that I do, there's 2 to 3 hours of prep work. So just click the link below if you want to be a part of the free webinar. You're welcome to. And whether you join us for the April 21st to 23rd, it doesn't matter. Just be a part of the free webinar, that you get the feel of what it's like to be vulnerable, to learn and grow and be out of your ego, be in your essence. And during that time, we'll learn how to shift. We'll learn about the ego. We'll learn more about, how our mind works. So I hope you join us. Reserve your seat by clicking the link or emailing me at lily@whenyounneedafriend.com, texting me. But always, always send me your email address and let me know that you want to be a part of the front row seat. You want to be in the front row seat for this free workshop, free webinar. And so I hope you take advantage of it. Go to whenyounneedafriend.com. If you want to go straight to the contact page, you can go there. And while you're there at whenyounneedafriend.com, please subscribe, because it is so important that every single one of us subscribe. Because look, right now, I can't even access my Facebook page. And like something came up and said, I'm like spamming. I don't know how that is, but it's neither here nor there. I'm just going to deal with whatever is in the moment right now. I am loving being with you. And again, if you have any questions, you can type in a Q and write your question after that. Okay. So type in a Q, write your question. You can put it in the comment section. Okay. So while you're at whenyounneedafriend.com, please like and follow me on all social media. Also, you can join me on Telegram. Like right now, you can join me on Telegram, and if you text me at 407-373-5959 because you can't find me in Lillian McDermott, the classroom, on Telegram, you can text me and then we'll figure out how I can send you an invitation. Okay. Now, with that in mind, you know that there are certain people that are supporting the classroom, but it's never enough because of all the expenses. So but I want you to support our sponsors, because without them, it would even be just uncertain. But God gives us exactly what we need at the time we need it. So support our sponsors the way that they're supporting the classroom. Check out my Shop Now bag. That's where you can find all the Lily approved products, the bands. I still have some muscle, even though it feels like I haven't worked out in a week or so, because I had to cancel the I Am the Solution workshop from March 17th through 19th because I was not at my best. And when I'm doing this, I am at 100% coaching. I'm in my essence the whole entire weekend. There's no room for my ego that weekend. It's totally the essence. And then just check out, we have the New Truth series. If you want to get closer to God, we've got the New Truth series, 100 lessons from the Exodus, and the book of Revelation as well. We can get it on DVD or you can get it online. There's so many things that you can do it yourself, workshops, seminars, all those things that you can get after the fact, and they're ready there waiting for you so that you can learn and grow on your own. You don't even need me. You just buy the products and then off you're on your own. You can also become an enrolled student in the classroom. And this is where we really need your help, whether it's $1 commitment every month or $1,000 a month or a one-time donation, whatever the case is, all of it is needed. The expenses are increasing in the classroom and we need your help. So please, whatever you can donate, whether it's $1 or $1,000, anything in between, whether it's your time, your talent, and treasure, it's all appreciated. Okay, so now you know about my website. And now you know about the save the date, which is March 28th. Now I'm going to have to take some water. Still got that lingering thing. And one of the reasons I had to switch to April 21st, but I had so many people say to me, oh, I'm so grateful. Because I wasn't able to do it this day, but I can do it this day. Remember, space is limited. And once it gets to that place, I have like a little overflow that I'll work with. But once it gets to that overflow place, it's done. We can't add any more people. So I'm grateful that for those of you who said the 21st is great, everybody was really excited about the 21st. And it felt right. It just felt right. Anyway, I just wanted to, this is a way you can shift. I just want to give you a little trick, You see this water, you see the glass, there's a little glass, it kind of hides away because of the background here. But if you are in your ego and you're having a tizzy fit, and if everything is wrong, the way you get back into your essence is to be in the moment. Grab a glass of water. Look at the water. It's clear. Feel the coolness of the water. Feel the glass and the noises it makes. Drink it. Feel the water in your mouth. Swirl it around. All of a sudden, you go from being in your ego to being in your essence, being in the now. So the ego is usually in the past, either diving there to find trash or worried about the future, anxiety. So depression, anxiety. So when you are depressed, you're in your ego. You're looking at the past. You're wanting to change the past. The past cannot be changed. You can embrace it. You can deal with it. You can honor it. You can learn from it. You can't change it. It is what it is. But people don't want to go from that resistance to accepting what is, being in the now, being in the moment. I can't change that. I can't predict my future, although I can, in my imagination, the story I'm writing in my head, I can be all about this. I'm going to say this, and they're going to say this, and I'm going to be all upset because I am going to be living in the future, and the stories in my head are real to my brain, but they're not real. They're just made up stories. Best way to deal with the ego that's trying to change the past and worried about the future, because it's about fear, remember, versus the essence, which is right in the moment. You can grab a glass of water, do it now, or touch something, touch my Keep Me Safe organic lip balm, touch whatever it is, feel it. Maybe grab a hold of feel the texture of your blouse. Just feel it. What does it feel like? What color is it? Ask yourself these questions. What I'm doing is I am distracting myself, I'm stopping the thought process. Stop it. Just stop it. Okay, let me drink some more water. Okay, so that's a tip. You can do that if you want to get out of this ruminating cycle. Then you can change the subject. So one of them is grab some water, touch your clothing, kind of to get your socks off and your shoes off, go walk on the beach, put your feet on something, feel it, feel what it feels like, coldness. Like right now I'm grounded, my feet are grounded right now. They're on my grounding pad. And so I feel that. I feel how it feels on my feet. So that's a way to get you out of your ego. It's just to distract yourself and put you right in the moment, right in the now. And when I'm drinking this water, I have nothing to worry about. I feel it. It comes to me and I'm good. Okay. Another way is, and I have to give credit to Pat Clark, when you have, and you might relate to this, that there are children in your life, and your children, when you're raising your children, they might want to be combative, maybe contradict everything you say. It's that phase, that teenage phase that you have. And I remember, because as a blended family, it's really difficult to discipline the child that is not yours. That's not biologically yours. And you want to build the relationship, and you let the biological parent deal with their biological child. But we were raising all our kids together. So it wasn't like it was his kids or our kids or whatever. It was our kids, but we had some boundaries that we had to establish because we knew it would only help the relationship grow better. But I had a child that no matter what I said, they wanted to hook me. So if I said the sky is blue, they'd say, no, that's ridiculous. The sky is white. Look at it right now. And it could have been white because there were lots of clouds, but technically the sky is blue. I'm trying to give an analogy of what it was like. If I say, this person is really kind, no, I hate them. If this person is this or that, or they would take me on. I don't know if you have a kid like that. Maybe all the kids are like that now, but at the time, this was something I was dealing with. So we believed in counseling, and we were trying to blend our family together. So I asked Pat Clark, I said, this is something that gets me frustrated. And of course, what was getting me frustrated was my ego. My ego wanted to be right. My ego was unwilling to let that person just be with their thoughts. I had to change it. See? What I was seeing in that person was who I was being at the moment. So I went to Pat Clark, who is our counselor, and I said, this person keeps just challenging me. If I say blue, they say black. If I say up, they say down, and they're right. And they want to be right. I'm sure she was looking at me going, yeah, so do you. But anyway, her advice was, have 7 different topics that are current. So when they try to engage you by saying something like, so-and-so is pregnant and that's okay, or so-and-so is dating 3 guys, that's okay, or so-and-so is, or something that is against your principles, your moral values, whatever it is, have 7 topics that you can change, like you can change the subject, change the conversation. And so this will work when you have somebody in your life that's poking you in the eye in a way that's not bringing out the best in you. There are people who poke you in the eye and they just like make you want to grow. But there are other people that just like poke you in the eye and you're like, I want to poke them in the eye back. That's what I'm talking about. So that's where I was. And so basically I said, okay, if you're suggesting this, I'm going to do it. So that day I picked them up at the school and they started. And I could feel it in me. And I just would take a breath and I say, hey, did you know that this, and this, and this? And I would change the subject. And then they would respond and then we would go on and then they would say something that was like poking me in the eye once again. I changed the subject again. I clocked it. I timed, I counted it. I changed the topic 4 times. 4 times. And you know what? We never got into a conflict. We just changed the subject. And what do you think about this? And what do you about that? And did you hear about this thing happen in the, whatever it was. And it was great. So that is a tip with the ego. Do something different, like pick up a glass of water, feel the texture in go for a walk. Those are things that you change the subject in your brain so that you can snap out of the ego. You can also say, stop, stop, stop. This doesn't work for me anymore. This was something that worked for me back then. It doesn't work for me now. Now I choose to be in my essence. I choose to be in my now. I choose no longer to be in my ego. We're going to give it a death. We're going to kill the ego. We're going to ignore the ego. We're going to say to the ego, you know what? Come back another day. You're not welcome here no more. Step out the door now. You're not welcome anymore. So we can do that. Another thing that you can do, and this is something that the person I'm telling you the story about decided to do, because during that time that we were going back and forth and our discussion, this is going back to the beginning of the discussion, I said to them, you know what? We need to shift. Let's dance. So we danced. We actually danced 3 songs that day. And they went from the world is crap to I am so excited. I am so happy and joyful. That's how you shift. That's how you put a death to your ego. And let me tell you, your stories in the head are controlling your joy. It's the thought that you're afraid of. It's not fear itself. It's the thought of the fear, the thought of the conversation, the thought of what could happen, the thought. So when you change the thought, you change everything else, because first it's a thought, then it's a feeling, then it's an action. So when you change the thought, you start shifting from that ego. So sit around, figure out what are your triggers. What triggers you? You know that once this happens, like when that child would say something to me, it would trigger me. What was it triggering me? And I've sat with it since then. I've apologized to my children. I've said, you know what? I did the best that I could with what I had at the moment. There were times where, we're fearful. We're fearful that we're going to make a mistake. And of course, what happens? You make mistakes. But I'm here to tell you, there is no such thing as a mistake. There's only growth opportunities. All those moments taught me how to be today. And now I can use these moments for helping and guiding and coaching, not because I'm coming from a place of superiority. I'm coming from a place of knowing, because I've gone through it. I've been there. I've done that. I don't know if that makes sense. So that is a way. So they texted me and said they started their playlist. So every morning they're going to play some of the songs that they heard, and they came up with some new songs. That is taking 100% ownership. The joy of discovering that the ego was holding them back was so liberating. So if I gave you the keys to the holiest of holies, the keys to the Taj Mahal, the keys to the White House, and you were in charge of letting people in, would you allow terrorists, knowingly allow terrorists in to these places, these temples? Would you allow it? Would you allow them to come in? And hopefully the answer would be no. I would never allow them to come in. I would say, you can't go in because this is a place where we need to respect. It's holy, it's blessed, whatever it is. But that's what we do when we allow the thoughts of fear, when we allow the ego to settle in and want to be right, to be in control, to look good and be comfortable. All those things are keeping us trapped in misery. And you have the key, and you can say, stop, you don't belong here anymore. What belongs here is love, my essence of harmony. All those things that you know put you in the moment, playing a game, doing a puzzle, whatever it is, never to escape, but only to deal with the now that is in front of you. Does that make sense? I don't know if it does make sense to you. I don't know if you have any questions, but I wanted to talk about this today because if it has touched your heart or allowed you to see yourself in a different way and not be ashamed of your ego, but recognize the ego as what it is. Good versus ego. I could change that to evil because nobody wants to be around evil. Evil makes us feel uncomfortable, makes us feel horrible, make us feel blah, not ourselves. So I'm asking you to identify it, make it what it is. Please consider joining us. If you want to learn more and you want to get a coaching session with a small group, however, I don't know, I don't care how many of you are there. I want to encourage you to start looking at yourself. Be curious about yourself instead of critical of everybody else. Be curious. What else is out there? How else can I adapt some of my behaviors that I do not like, that everybody calls me out on and I defend it? Got to defend it. Oh, I only got upset because you made me upset. Nonsense. That is not true. Who is responsible for your life? You are. Who is responsible for your joy? You are. So if you're blaming everybody because they're making you angry, guess what? You're the solution. You hold the key to allowing whatever is allowing in your brain, allowing it in there. You're the one that is controlling that. So first is the thought, then it's the feeling, then it's the action. Do whatever you can to create the life that you want. Do everything you can. So it's time to perform an egoectomy. Yes, it's time to perform an egoectomy. Join us on March 28th, 2023, 7 p.m. Eastern Time, where we're going to have a 30-minute presentation and we're going to talk and have conversations, create community, no strings attached. It's free. I hope that you will take advantage of it. Again, we do have the workshop on April 21st. Save the date for that. And that one starts at 6 p.m. on a Friday, the 21st. And then on Saturday and Sunday, it starts at noon. It ends at 6 on Saturday and Sunday. It starts at 6 on Friday, but it ends around 9 or 10. The choice is yours. You could be miserable in your ego, or you can perform the egoectomy. Hopefully, you will choose to join us and learn and grow more about who you are and how to work with it in a loving and kind way in your essence. And please remember, I'll be right here waiting for you worldwide at whenyouneedafriend.com. This is Lillian McDermott wishing you love, peace, joy, and unexpected abundance. Make it the best day ever.
The opinions and advice expressed on the Lillian McDermott radio show are intended for the individual callers and guests on the program and are presented to our wider audience solely for general educational purposes. Please act responsibly and consult personally with your own medical, psychological, or nutritional expert before taking any steps to improve your life.
Okay, guys, it's so wonderful that you were able to stay with me today. I'm looking forward to, if you want to learn more, you can text me, you can ask me questions about the save the date for the free webinar on March 28th. Always look at the link below, click on it, and you can register there. I look forward to seeing you tomorrow. We have Dr. Jennifer Grameth in the classroom. We'll see you then. Bye.